Hey everyone, my first friend in New Zealand was Maori. Now the death of George Floyd has certainly dominated the media since it occurred. It's got me reflecting on my own journey here in New Zealand, so I wanted to take a couple of minutes and share some of it with you, and I hope you've got the time to listen. I'm guessing that most of you who know me know that I was born in Holland. And I was 6 years old when I stepped off the plane onto New Zealand soil. At school in Napier, Onikawa School, I certainly found out quickly how different I was to my peers. But one pair of brown stubby shorts in 1982, ugly yellowish t-shirt to match, and a pair of jandals later, I was just like everybody else. I blended into the dominant culture real quickly. The bullying about my European clothes stopped abruptly, particularly as I hit back, and I learnt to speak English really fast. It wasn't my first language, and this was in order just to be like everybody else. I wanted that bullying to stop so bad. During that time of being picked on for my indifference, I made a friend. His name was Darcy, and Darcy is Maori. My first friend in New Zealand was Maori. My first experience of non-discriminatory friendship in New Zealand was from a Maori, tangata whenua. Darcy may not even remember this. He might not even remember me, I'm not sure. But my first experience of someone sticking up for me because of my indifference was from a Maori, tangata whenua. As I grew and I went from primary to intermediate to high school, I had many friends who were Maori, many who I befriended and they befriended me. So it's always been kind of abrasive when I heard things like bloody Maoris, etc., etc. I don't need to say more. I guess at times, if I'm going to be honest though, friends, family, I too got caught up in the stream of New Zealand's systemic racism. I'm guilty of that for sure. Which is quite ironic, really, how quickly I can forget just who stuck out their brown-skinned hand in friendship. When I was back to the wall getting picked on as a scared, foreign 6-year-old. If you see this, Darcy, bless you, my friend. Bless you. So, the death of George Floyd in a different country than ours has yet again got a lot of us talking about racism. The point of difference being skin colour, and the ones being oppressed generally being of darker complexion than me. I know New Zealand is a different country to America in a lot of ways, yet I see the struggle for power and control alive and well in New Zealand. You'll know that most of you will know that I'm a Salvation Army officer, a pastor, church guy. Jesus once told a story about indifference, a parable, and he used this story to stick a knife into the side of those in power, and particularly those who are corrupted and blind to love. And let's be honest, not all people in power are corrupt and blind to love. So, Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan. You might know it. Those of you that don't, here it is. The story goes, some dude has fallen to the side of the road for some reason, and he's too unwell to sort himself out. He's in the gutter. His own people, his own nation of people, his own blood, his own skin colour type. And here is the message to all ethnicities, by the way, his own people, so the story goes, notice him, but do not stop to lend a hand or even see what's wrong, so the story goes. A Samaritan, different race, hated, loathed by the culture of the original listeners of the story, the bloody Samaritans. Excuse my language, the bloody Samaritans. Gets this dude out of the gutter, cleans him up, puts him on his mode of transport, takes him to a hotel, pays for the dude to stay there, gives enough money for him to be fed, etc. Then he goes off to work for a few days and then comes back and sorts it all out, anything else that it needs to be paid for. That good for nothing scumbag of a Samaritan doesn't even observe the right way to worship God. He's a heretic in their eyes. Jesus used indifference in this story to show love in action. Racism, intolerance of difference, power and control, it's always been around, and it always needs challenging. Yeah. What does a person do when they're backed into a corner? Yeah. Flight or fight. So racist remarks from those who are oppressed are not racism. They're not racism. They're an inbuilt defense mechanism saying, get off me, I can't breathe. I'm Ivo Piper, and my first friend in New Zealand was a Maori.